What's up, everybody? Welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, back again with the Big Brother Reviews podcast to talk about season 8 of Big Brother. This is episode 17, I believe. My math could be off, but we're almost there. We're in single digits, and it's going to be a fun ride, this one. So I do have a fun panel with me. For the second time, I have Janelle back to talk about this. Janelle, what's going on?
Hey.
First time I got Matt Scott in the building. That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, crazy. You reached. Who knows? You could get me as a guest on a podcast. Like what? You were on Pod. I think the last time we podcasted, you were on Pod Friends.
Yeah.
And maybe the last time we saw the truth with Survivor Philadelphia, but we don't talk about that anymore. We don't talk about it.
I still talk about it. It's like
Survivor what?
What?
No, shout out to Alex Gardner.
I was about to say he's gonna be like, what the hell? I got Sabrina, my co-host for the Are You the One podcast. Sabrina, what's going on?
Hi, I'm so excited to talk about this crazy season.
Yes.
And I got Naomi Calhoun, the host of 1,000 Things over here. Naomi, what's going on?
Hello. Yes, thank you. We got to do the math of like the stats of the hours of every podcaster, but host of 1,000 Things is correct. Thank you so much for having me, Isaiah. I'm glad, as I would say, a general Big Brother newbie, to be here and talk to you guys about it.
Hey.
Yeah.
You're a general newbie.
Generally, a new Big Brother fan. Yeah.
Naomi, you're so genuine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys.
Y'all are sick.
Such a genius.
But we're back to so we're going to talk about Big Brother 8, the infamous season of Evil Dick, the Donatos, Jen, and everything else that is chaos. So before we get started, we're just going to talk about some just memories of this. So Janelle,
Yes.
you real quick, I see in the chat, is this pre-recorded? Nah, this ain't pre-recorded.
Live, baby.
Janelle, so for the second time, you actually binge an entire season just to be on the pod. So
Absolutely.
what is your opinions for this? Like
I,
let me know.
This season was wild. So I saw Danny on her second appearance and her third appearance. So this is my first time seeing her on this appearance. I thought the dynamic between her and her father is one of the most interesting dynamics I've ever seen on any Big Brother season. It was fascinating to me. I thought he was insane. The things that I heard about him, he definitely lived up to the hype. He was ruthless. He was aggressive. I cannot believe that man won the season. They had so many times to get him out, and that America's player destroyed it. Every time he was going to go, America's player got in the way. And I'd really like to see Eric come back because he slayed that. I think he did a really, really, really good job with his position as America's player. So it was a wild season. I love it. I'm not sure how I feel about Dick. He's a little out there. The most redeeming thing to me about Dick was you could tell that he loved Danielle. That's the most redeeming thing I have to say about him. He loved his kid, and that's about it.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Sabrina? You sound like you have something to say.
No, I actually agree with a lot with what Janelle said. Like, I did not watch this season live. I think I was like 14 or 15 when the season came out. But at that point, I was only really watching Amazing Race at this point live. And so it took me a little bit to get into Big Brother. But this was one of the first seasons I watched when I went back. And I loved Danielle the entire time. Like, she was my favorite. But I agree that dynamic was so strange. Like, I could not imagine being a 20-year-old about to play Big Brother and your dad walks in the house. Like, and your dad that you don't talk to walks in the house. Like, I would lose my mind. Because, like, at that point, my dad and I, when I was that age, like, didn't really have, like, a super, like, close relationship. So I kind of imagine, like, how she felt. And I'd be like, man, that would really, really suck. And I feel like I wouldn't know what to do with myself. So the fact that they actually, like, teamed up was pretty crazy to me. They actually were like, you know what, let's just, like, go with it. And, like, let's support each other, have each other's back, whatever. And, yeah, like, I also just watching the recaps to like get ready for this podcast, I miss so many things that just aren't in Big Brother anymore. Like, me and Janelle said this earlier, but I miss the key wheel. She does not, but I
hate the key wheel.
That's one thing I just love.
Wow.
I don't know, like the suspense. It was great to me. And then I miss all of like the luxury comps and like the food comps and have-nots.
Yeah.
like actually like really doing have-nots like Big Brother Canada does. Like I really miss that for BBUS. And America's Player, great twist, love it. And you're right, Janelle, it definitely like fucked some things up for some people.
Did.
Like I thought, like, yeah, you're right. I think Eric did a great job with it. So like those just little things, like I really miss about just general Big Brother. So it's nice to get like a reminder of what we used to have.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I know, Isaiah, you're about to call on me because I'm over here indignant already with this. Eric Stein is better than Big Brother. I would want him to come back and win selfishly for his sake. I need him to just stay where he is, producing the show. He has a great life. Stay away from these people. Big Brother producers screwed him over.
Yeah.
He should have won this season. And then in terms of Dick and Danielle, like I watched it in real time. I think I was about 15 years old or so when this came out, and I was watching it in real time, and I could not stand Dick. And it just oh man, I'm just getting hot thinking about it. I might need to take my hoodie or something like. But no, he is. That man is gross. He should have been called into the diary room a million times. And I'm just talking about the character we see on the show.
Yeah.
I do not want tweets or anything from Dick Donato in follow-up to this.
Yeah, anybody who's, if you rat on us about talking about this season, you're dead to us. Like,
yeah,
you're blocked. You're blocked.
I'm already blocked. I don't think I.
You're right.
I think I blocked him a while, like years.
You blocked
ago,
me.
so.
But,
good for
nice.
you.
Well,
but
good.
yeah, no, I just feel like with Dick and Danielle, they were so like force fed down our throats by the producers this season. The producers clearly loved the story of Dick and Danielle reconciling when, spoiler alert, it didn't that didn't actually kind of happen in the course of this. There were still issues. And so I just like, it was a little cringe watching it, knowing how things turn out, but I did enjoy this season. And I know we'll talk about where we rank it and all that stuff, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Naomi, so I do have a question for you because it's kind of fun to look back. We got 4 seasons in a row, all of like people with pre-existing relationships. We got the exes in season 4. We look at season 5. You have Project DNA. You have and then you have season 6, the secret duos, and then you have All Stars, and then you have this. So actually, that's 5. Sorry, five straight seasons, and they call this like the golden era. What is it about like returnees? Do you think that just Big Brother was obsessed with at this time?
Well, I think that the relationship dynamic, like, so I mentioned this earlier. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the first season that Alison Grodner takes over officially. She has like full creative control. And I think that Alison, I was watching this wonderful YouTuber called BB Barfbag. I love his videos. He has a dolphin crash video, which we'll talk about more. But he sort of said that like Grodner makes the show like a wrestling event. It's all very like easy, digestible, high stakes emotions. And so it's like the father and the daughter, the exes. Like it's all, I think, going forward in Big Brother, characters really start to be like pigeonholed. People get pigeonholed into who they are at a most basic level. And I think this is the start of that, whether it's Danny and Danielle having a tumultuous relationship, Dustin and Joe being like the gay fighting couple, rivals from high school with Jessica and Carol, which I'm sorry, I'm hard pressed to believe that a woman named Carol was the most popular in high school. Carol? Okay. Yeah. Actually, so I started watching Big Brother around BB 20. That's how I started. And I was obsessed with listening to Eric Stein talk in the Summer of Stein. And so I've been an Eric Stein fan before I even watched this season. And then to go back and see how dirty they did him.
Yeah.
I like, fuck Alison Grodner.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting to see how the twists evolve, and we can kind of bridge that into the twist conversation. The twist of the season, a big one is the America's Player, right? And I think this is the first time that they really tried it out officially. You got Eric, who literally all his moves, for the most part, are like controlled by America, or at least a majority of the important things. But it's crazy to see how interesting he is to try to maneuver. He's almost like playing a different game in comparison to everyone else, because like there's important votes where he can't choose who he wants to vote. He has to do certain things, and back then, at least during this, you can't really say no. You have to do it. Where when they try it with Dan the next time, Dan is allowed to say no. He can decline something. Or if you see Team America with Derek and all of them, they're allowed to say no if they don't want to do it. So I think they learned their lesson. But it is unfortunate because I do think Eric was a really good player. We're going to talk about him, of course, during this. Another one, obviously, is the rival Swiss. Naomi kind of broke it down already, but we do have our rivals, some more rivalish than the others. The first, you got Dick and Danielle, which, I mean, I don't know how Big Brother is able to find like these people who are like.
That's literally what I was thinking. Whenever I was watching the recap, I was like, hold on, how did they, first off, get these people, second off, get them to admit who a rival was, and then cast that rival? Like, how does that even work? And also, I don't know if we've established this, but how did America's Player even happen? Like, did they just ask in the process of casting, like, hey, would you be down for this? Or did they just like randomly assign it to him?
I think they saw a guy who was good at speaking on television, a guy who could easily narrate everything. Because, like, kudos to Eric, because every time he speaks, it's at least interesting. Could you imagine, like, so I walk into the diary room and there's a letter from America here. Like, it was just like, you gotta blow your brains out. Like, you could, but Eric sells it so well. And I think they just saw this guy who was really good at selling things and, like, said, all right, great. He'll be perfect for this. He's a smart guy. He won't F it up. And he'll stay in the game a long time if we just let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, that's
what America wants to do.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me because this is the same show that found like two siblings that were related that didn't know each other existed. You know, like they figured.
So crazy. I still think about that a lot. Like that. Here. Oh my god.
Danielle knew as soon as they brought it up. Danielle was like, "I bet it's my dad."
Yeah,
she like knew immediately.
Yes. So that's why I'm wondering if there was like some kind of. I don't know. I feel like they had to mention it in casting process.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Everybody, hey, like, who's your rival or whatever, and then they just followed a couple of leads. I don't know.
Yeah.
We also have. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just like one thing is that, like, for all of these shows, I mean, from the beginning of the casting process, they'll ask like, who are your closest people, and they'll get their contact info. So I'm kind of confused on like if Dick was a Big Brother. I'm assuming he wasn't a Big Brother fan, but also we have to remember like this is the era of recruits still in all of these shows on CBS, Survivor, Big Brother, all of it. So it wouldn't surprise me that they could just reach out to Dick and be like, hey, you want to be on this show and maybe compete for $500,000? But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
I think Dick definitely was a fan because at the end, when him and Danielle made it to the end, he was like, we're the best team there ever was. We're better than this person, that person, this person, that person. So he knew the history of the show. He was bragging when they made that final two about them being the best duo ever because they made it. I feel like that's why he was saying it.
So we also another duo we have is Joe and Dustin. They are like a couple, or sorry, ex-couple coming in. There's some drama there. How do we feel about their dynamic? Oh, we say something.
I cannot believe he brought up the gonorrhea. I was like, why would you say that?
On like night one.
I was like, why would you say that part of it? You could give so much tea, but why that one? I was like, oh, that was an interesting one. I don't know if he was telling the truth. But that was an interesting one.
All I know is I'm not surprised. Joe was a mess I was gonna say this entire season, but he didn't make it that far. Right. But man, it was like he just couldn't help himself. And so I do believe that the gonorrhea. I believe he had gonorrhea. Why am I okay? No, you know what? I'll keep myself out of this. I'm just saying I just don't know if it came from Dustin. That's my side of the story.
It could have been easily like workshop for sympathy, right? You just go, I'm so sad. Like all you have to do, we see Danny start crying in the early days. That's all you got to do. You got to cry that this person's in the house because they're my rival. They hurt my feelings so much, and then everyone will be on your side, and you'd be like,
that easy.
It's so sad. And he doesn't do it. He said he screams on it. Oh my god, it was hilarious though. I couldn't believe it. I love this season.
Mess. And then lastly, we have the last rival, which is Jessica and Carol. It seemed like they didn't like each other in high school or something. I guess one of them owed the other money,
$5.
$5, and now they hate each other. I don't look.
This was the goofiest played up rivalry ever. Oh my god, it was so.
I agree.
I'm so confused. Like, maybe they were. I don't understand what Big Brother was going for, because why would they want to cast Carol? Like, I can imagine, like, you have Danielle and you're like, Danielle, she'll be really good, and also like Dick would be really good, so you have that. You have Dustin and Joe, which is a pretty good dynamic, and then you have Jessica, who there was a lot that happened with Jessica, but Carol, like senator's daughter, I think, which I don't know what senator. We didn't find out.
My headcanon, they got 2 dynamite dynamics for the show, and they need at least one more rival. They're scratching at the bottom of the barrel. They got this girl, Jessica. This is our blonde that we're gonna fit in. Let's go find this girl that she has added on Facebook she doesn't like.
Literally.
Like, I don't know.
On MySpace.
Thank you.
Period. I just like don't. It would just be so strange to me to be like, and just seems unfair for like the twist to happen to like not even half the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to be stuck in that the whole time. Like, I would be furious if I was one of the few who was in a twist like that.
Yeah, I really felt like those 3 were at a disadvantage. I was like, they should have at least made it half and half. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, and then like over time though too, it's like then you look at Dick and Danielle and it's an advantage. Like they have that type bond. Now people actually, I mean, you know, there were people who wanted to do something about it. Eric Stein, America's player, being one of them, but that didn't happen. But it's like, it is interesting because it's like they have a massive target on them, and we did see both of the pairs kind of have two of the 3 pairs have someone picked off pretty early, and then one of the pairs obviously made it to the end, which my problem with this season is that they shouldn't have made it to the end. There was a player who wanted them out, and there was production interference in it, which is like, I enjoy the season from an entertainment perspective. I don't enjoy that aspect of it. Like the integrity of it isn't there.
Yeah, you're right. Zach was robbed. You're so right, Matt. No, can I just say, it is insane that they could not find an enemy for Jen. You're telling me that Jen has no enemy.
Yes.
There's nobody that wants to come on TV and fight her. Okay.
They could find a stranger and just like throw them in. Like, then this person does not like you.
Literally.
Generific. Okay, so we can start talking about the castmates real quick. If you haven't been here before, I mean, we kind of go week by week, not really. We just like kind of talk about the people in their games, but if there's anything important to talk about during their time in the game, you know, I bring it up. But as we said, the first person is Carol. Carol was just there. She was, as Zudaman in chat is saying, is definitely a villain this season. I don't think Carol's seen the show. I think they were just like, hey, you want to come on TV? And you know, she was offered a spot. But you know, Carol's there. During this week, I mean, obviously we have Kale, she wins HOH. She's making alliance with Nick and Zach, and who's the third person? It's Nick, Zach, and I think it's Drew. Is that his name?
It's
Mike.
Mike.
Oh my god,
Drew.
forgettable person. Okay.
Did you know they used to call him Meat Log Mike because he would just eat deli meat all the time?
I had no clue.
I don't have any questions about that.
We also see Eric named America's player. Dick and Danielle, they have their moments, but you know, they kind of coincide in the game, and they have this very interesting bond where they could put the real life stuff on the side and work together. And then we have Jen, where I'm very excited to talk about Jen this podcast because what a character. She randomly starts crying when she sees her picture on the memory wall because she doesn't like her picture. She randomly gets bored and tells everyone that Nick tried to kiss her, and then she was like, and then Joe's messy ass goes tell Nick, and then that blows up. Jen is just a mess. But real quick before we move on, Carol, is there anything interesting we want to say about Carol before we?
No, Isaiah.
No.
At the time, I was like, I
Uh-huh.
would rather Jessica go over her. I don't know why. Jessica seemed snotty to me or something, but she didn't really leave a mark. She was there and she bounced, and that was it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like anything she did actually say just like wasn't like there was nothing she said that was redeeming. Like she didn't like I mean, I don't know if she didn't like Joe. I don't know if she liked anybody in this house. That's the thing.
I
Like
don't know.
she did not want to be there, and it was clear to everybody watch. Like, and I rewatched this season, so I feel like I'm having like the post Big Brother season. Like, let me recover my mental health. Like right now, after binge watching all of this in the last month, really again, and like she was just not getting anything. But like there's nothing you could say, Isaiah. I'm really trying. I'm like grasping at straws.
Go on, girl, give us nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Carol.
All right. Last thing I forgot to bring up. Danny does win veto this week. Doesn't use it. And Kale thought that it would be just like a cakewalk. The house did seem split at one point, but it was a cakewalk. Carol was out of here.
I want to ask you guys how you feel about like the Kale, because I think this is a big part of the story. Is Kale making this like bros alliance where she's like, so I'm a mom and I'm gonna work with 3 men in their 20s, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah,
this
like
woman
you're
is out of her mind.
Yeah, literally insane. Like you're gonna be picked off immediately. Like boys stay together in games always. Like it's just a fact.
Yeah, I think like for me, I'm trying to go back to that time, and like I really can't go back to the time to think about like how new this was and how different it was. Like to give Kale a little bit of credit here, but yeah, it was kind of like it's sad. It's always sad every time we see a game where it's like, ooh, with big strong men, they're gonna make it far. Let's take them even further. But obviously that didn't work out. I'm surprised that Kale did as well as she did, honestly, despite the like immediate failure of the Mrs. Robinson alliance.
Yeah, they turned on her pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so moving on to next week, this is Joe's week. We're going to see Jen win HOH. Big contrast after all the drama she was in the week prior. She wants to nominate people who start drama in the house or are negative influences. So she puts up the Donatos, which honestly you can kind of blame Jen for like these two being even closer than they originally were, because they hated Jen after this. We're going to see Danny win the veto herself. Joe goes up, and then Kale's starting to squirm. She's like, wait, Dick is finding out about my alliance. Nick and Danny are like getting a little flirty and close. This is not good. Let's get Dick out. It does not work. Joe is out 9-1. But Joe Barber, is there anything interesting about Joe Barber's game?
I'm glad Dustin stayed over him. But no, there's nothing. I didn't find anything interesting. He seems super petty to me. I was happy to see him go out the door. Bye. You can go.
Yeah.
I found that like Joe was I liked the way he was sort of trying to save himself, and it just made everybody want to vote him out more, where he's like, I really want to be here, and everyone's like, and that's why we're gonna send you home. Bye.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Yeah. It's one of those things like early in a lot of these games, and I feel like this isn't even like a 2007 thing, but just like now still we see these players who have no business playing the game get picked off, and that was Joe. May he rest in peace wherever he is. I don't know where he is. I don't know.
The highlight of this week though is that Amber is like crying about having to play in the veto. And then Jen comes into the like she's crying. Then Jen comes in and is like, you better like not throw this fucking veto. Like you better do what I want you to do.
Or I'm putting so and so up. Yeah, she threatened her. Danny was pissed.
It was so good.
Like, don't do that to her. She's such a sweetheart. I know what you're doing, Jen. I just amped up the animosity between those two when she did that.
Really funny.
What a mess. I will say, Joe. what were you doing? Like the 1 week where the first week when Jen is like telling people that Nick tried to kiss him, she's like, Joe, where are you going? Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna go change my clothes. He tells Nick, and then he comes back after Nick gets pissed, like, oh, I'm sorry. I was being messy. I told.
Yeah, it wasn't even like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and then Nick is like,
to tell him.
So ridiculous.
He was like, did you do it? And then Jen is like, no. Yes, you did, Jen. You did say that. Like I don't know what his objective was. I do feel like they reached out to Joe before they reached out to Dustin because he walked in the house first. That's my theory. I don't know, but
I don't know.
What a mess.
I mean, Joe, yeah. I mean, I feel like you would. This is interesting, like the Carol Jessica thing. Like you would imagine that they cast Jessica because what is Carol? And then with Joe, I mean, again, Dustin was around, so he had time to like build more of a story arc. But yeah, they had to reach out to Joe. There's no way you find Dustin and then you accidentally like also find Joe. Like it's not that like just like I mean honestly, just like Dick and Danielle, like I know we'll get to. I mean, we're talking about it a little, but like I could also see a world where they found Dick first. And then also we're like, hey, Danielle, let's we could reach out. I don't know how that works. I feel like there are probably answers out there to all of this somewhere.
Some Reddit forum.
Yeah. All right. And then like I said, I mean I didn't say this yet, but this is a very top heavy season. So I will say pre-jury, it's a lot of the duds going, and then it kind of gets crazy by like jury. But okay, so the week after that, we do have Mike, and I don't know what Mike was doing either. Like there's a lot of duds early on. That's why I'm just trying to get through all these people.
Yeah.
But Dick wins HOH this week, and he's obviously going to go on his revenge path. His chaotic self. He was cool with Kale, but he got word that Kale had an alliance because of Nick, and then now you see him put up Jen because he doesn't like Jen, and he puts up Kale. And obviously I think he did want to get Jen out originally. But Mike, I don't know what he was doing. This was during one of the competitions where he just kept trying to wear costumes and distract Dick. It was very cringy. But this pissed Dick off. He could have won veto, but he was like, you know what? Since you want to do this, I'm going to throw this veto. And then he lets Jen win veto, and then he puts Mike up. So Mike goes home after that. And I don't know, like he was really like die hard for this alliance. I think Zach was too, but he was really trying to protect Kale here. Flopped. But any go ahead, Naomi.
I was gonna say in that veto, he's really talking about like, oh, I want to prove that I'm loyal. Except for you guys like never really were loyal to Kale in the beginning part of the game. Like nobody was actually really ever loyal to Kale. So to choose now to prove it as the time was like so kind of crazy. But also like I see this move from Dick and I'm just like, oh my God, like what an asshole. Like to basically look at somebody and be like, okay, I'm gonna throw you on the block, and I'm throwing like it's a crazy move. And I think there's a lot to be discussed in this like review of just like how insane the way that Dick behaves like gets him the win, because I never expected it. I think like I never expected someone to be so awful and then get the win anyways.
But it's just it's still like it's still crazy to me.
I was inboxing Isaiah. I'm like, I can't believe this man won. Like, me. I know Danielle was bratty and everything like that, but I cannot understand why she won or why he won, and she did not win. Cannot figure it out.
Like as we talk about all these characters like Mike and Joe and Carol, it's like I wasn't paying attention to them. I was paying attention to Jen. I was paying attention to Dick and Danielle and that dynamic. And I like it's infuriating because I know there had to be points when the producers called Dick to the diary room and like maybe told him to like but like they were literally highlighting and like celebrating and showing like clips of his bad behavior again and again and again. And I'm just like, sir, you are 50 years old, or however old he was when he did, probably not.
He's like 44, which honestly is even worse.
Okay, you are old enough to know better. And then looking at like Jen was 22. I didn't realize she was so 21, 22, 23, something like that. I didn't realize she was so young though. And then looking at the conflicts, like it's embarrassing, honestly. And again, like I don't know Dick the person, probably perfectly great, probably be fun to get a drink with, but like this is gross, and they should have kicked him out. Dick the character.
Do you think Dick looks fun to hang out with?
No, I think he would be fun to hang. I don't think he's gonna stir up stuff, but like I do feel like you know, I just don't want anything to do with him. Also, I wouldn't shake his hand. Probably his boogers on it.
Like thinking about that dynamic too, about how like you're right, that age difference and like that, like him coming at her. Like if I was in Jen's shoes, I'd be freaked out. Like
yes, and what even she was weird. I've never seen a person like her. No matter if she, for the most part, no matter if she was pissed off or elated, she was very even keel. She never really showed too much waver in emotion, except towards the end she started to. I don't know how she handled that. He poured a soda over her head and she didn't flinch. Like I feel like she handled him like a champ, because I don't know if I could have taken it for as long as she did and been as calm as she was that whole entire time. Like the most emotion she showed was when she cried about that picture. She cried when Danielle backdoored her, and then that whole fiasco with the cigarettes, which I was like, oh, she's gonna die. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, she's done. He's gonna kill her. But so she was very, very fascinating to me. And while she was unique, I give her props for putting up with that for as long as she did. Because
I've been crying all day, every day.
Me too.
It would have been bad.
Yeah, and I get the hate that Jen might have gotten. It's wild to think what the Big Brother fan base was like at the time, because I just don't really understand what they were going for. I don't understand how people were in Dick's corner in particular at the time, because I was a kid and I just didn't like him. I wasn't getting good vibes at that time. Like obviously he's not giving off good vibes. But Jen, in retrospect, watching it back, like, wow, Jen is growth. Jen is poise. Jen is a talent. Jen needs to be brought back for a returnee season. The way that she handles that unitard, the way iconic red unitard. Was it the first unitard in Big Brother history?
Second. The first one was there's the first, because Michelle uses the same one later on.
She's an icon.
Yeah, Matt, I agree with you. I was surprised because I run a couple of Big Brother fan groups, and as I was watching it, I was posting about it. So much support for him. I was like, I'm embarrassed to say I like this guy. Like, what do you like? Because it wasn't even like a fun bully. Like in 24, we had Jasmine and Turner. That's like a fun butting of heads. He wasn't fun. He was attacking people, calling out people's religion, when he argued with what's her name? Amber, about her about her loving her dog as much as she loved her child. Well, I agreed with his notion. He was just calling her out left and right, just hammering. I'm like, what do you like? Like, there's nothing nice about this man except for that he loves his kid. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get to it, but just while we're on the topic of Dick, like, it's just, I wish I would have taken notes on all of the problematic things he did, but like, there was one point, and we'll get to it, like, way deep into the season, or like halfway through the season, where Dick has his pots and pans incident. So we'll get there, but like, he is touching on people's motherhood, calling them out, their religion, kind of their sexuality, with Dustin calling him like a fairy princess. And I'm just like, how are you asked back? I understand that this is Big Brother, so I'm not surprised the producers did that, but it's just like, you know, I don't think anyone here is wrong for having problems with Dick. And you know what? It's like, we talked about people like being blocked by him on social media is like something to be proud of at this point. Cause it's like, why do we give this man a platform? It like pisses me off.
You also got to remember, so this is around the times where literally the year before, We just get Chilltown and all those, it wasn't negative, but they're villains. People loved their villains at the time, right?
Mhm.
Even in Survivor the year prior was Cook Islands. That lines of Parvati was out there being herself. People love villains at this time, so even like looking back to see a player like Dick at the time was probably a lot different, and people probably felt very entertained. So that's probably why they liked him so much. Obviously, hindsight 2020, the antics outside of the house probably far exceeds that. So I mean, it fell off, but I think people enjoyed him at the time because it was just different. Like, you never seen a player like Dick before or after the show, honestly. Like, when's the next time or prior have you seen an evil Dick on TV?
I'd say I was good. Well, he was back on Big
feel
Brother
you.
for an
I feel
episode, but
yeah,
Is he like a Survivor's Russell?
yeah.
Fans. Like, he got fans some way, somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. But there you go. All right, so moving on to next week. Oh, I also forgot to say, Dick got very power hungry this week. I remember he didn't want people in his HOH room. He got mad when Nick was taking a nap there, and he thought they was talking game up there. This is when he started like losing his marbles. But
yeah, that scene is also really funny because the whole time Nick is like, "Look, man, I really like your daughter, and I don't want you to yell at me because I want to kiss your daughter." And it's like a really weird, the way they're fighting with each other is so funny. Yeah, and Dick is just like making shit up in his head constantly. So it's even funnier when he's actually right about stuff, like the whole Eric Stein hinky votes. Like, when he's mad, he's just mad. And so, like, I would just gaslight the shit out of him if I could, which is exactly what Jen does, and we love that about her.
So the week after, so this is Nick's week. This is the first person that's kind of like has some sort of like an impact this season. So Nick, so Dustin is HOH. And speaking of power trips, this is another guy that goes on a power trip. But Dustin is HOH. He puts up Jen and Kale, because he wants to stick with the majority of the house. That's, the direction it's going. And Jamaica gets picked for the veto. And she's like, "Oh, God put me here. God wants me to, if I win this veto, I just need to use it on whoever picked me. So I'm going to, if I win this, I'm using it on Jen." And look, Jen picks her ball, and Jamaica wins veto, and she vetoes Jen off the block. So, Nick goes up right afterwards because people are starting to see how close people like Nick and Danielle are getting. And, you don't also, this was more so Eric's doing, but, the Showmance at the time, like, was like a death sentence back in the day. Nowadays, not so much. But, if you were in a Showmance, you go bye-bye back in the day in old school Big Brother. So
I don't know. I feel like it still kind of is, though. Like,
I mean, not we have Jackson and Holly.
I don't really want to talk about them, but
yeah, Isaiah, what? I was having a nice night.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying,
I think, I mean, not to the same degree, but I still think it's still there. Like, it's still like a no almost to like.
See, it felt like back then, if they find out you're in a Showmance, they're going to split that up like immediately.
No,
nowadays, people want to like align with them and like try to bring them in their alliances for numbers. Like, you know what I'm saying?
This veto is also when Amber's true craziness starts to come out around here, and I love it, where she starts crying because Dustin takes the $5,000 and Jamaica could have taken that $5,000, but she didn't. She took the veto, and it is a very nice move. It is a very funny like Amber meltdown of the season where you're like, oh, she's off her rocker. Like, oh, got it. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
I feel so bad for Amber though. Like, she really, I get it. Like, it's not fun how upset she is like in her later 20s. Because that's one thing where I was like, is Amber like just like really young and just
really?
And she did have
like
she's like 27, 28. No, she is not in her 30s, Naomi, or her 40s.
I thought she was like 22, like 24.
Oh no, maybe she had her kid when she was 20.
Yeah, she was 27 when they did it. You're right.
27.
She had a lot going on. Going on for her.
Older 20s. You're hurting me, man.
Yeah. 30. We got it. We get it. Oof.
I thought her. Sorry.
No, for Amber.
I thought her crying rivaled Nicole Franzel's. All she did was cry. She cried so much over whether she was happy, sad, pissed. She was crying almost every single episode. And she would say, I know I cry a lot. She cried a lot. A lot.
Oof. Yeah.
It's hard. It would be hard. Like, I just couldn't imagine being away from like your family and like your friends for like that long. Like I played a Big Brother live game, but it was only a weekend, and even like that much, it was very stressful and challenging. And so to like do that times like 90 days or whatever the hell, like I mean, I don't blame her for being like just like upset all the time, but there is a point where like it needs to be like a separation of like, okay, I'm playing a game for this reason, for this money, let's like do this. But like letting emotions like come in every once in a while is like fine, but like letting it take over your entire like personality in a game like this, like it's hard.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing to point out, which you can start seeing Eric's game starting to like get affected by this. So obviously, Team America's choosing all of Eric's vote. Eric is the one who kind of spearheaded Nick leaving, but he votes Kale. Because America tells him to vote Kale. And, you know, people are starting to suspect something of him, specifically Danny and Dick. They're like, what's going on with Eric? You know, he said he was going to do certain things and he's not doing it. I'm confused there.
But there's such like a huge spiral with like the first vote that they then blame on Nick. And then I liked what Danny said, where she's like, Nick said to me, as soon as I vote him out, you know, I'm 90% sure about him. I'm gonna be 100% sure of him once I vote him out. It's like, yes, that's how it works. It's like once you vote somebody out that you kind of argue with, you regret it, unless they like were actively planning against you. But the way that the Donatos like kind of talk themselves in circles, where first they're totally believing that it's Nick, and then they're like, somebody has betrayed us. They're so dramatic in everything that they do. I kind of have to respect it. Like they are never not like television material.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What did you guys think of the dynamic between Nick and Danny? I thought that was fascinating because she was obviously, when she moved into the house, she was living with her boyfriend. And then she started to catch feelings for Nick. And that conversation, I don't know if you guys remember, where she goes out and joins Dick in the hammock and she's crying and she's like, I'm so stressed out. And he's like, it's only going to get worse. And she's like, I'm not talking about the game, basically, is what she was saying. She was talking about Nick, and she wanted to go home because she was afraid she was going to act on those feelings, and she did not want to hurt him or her boyfriend at home. I don't remember, well, of the seasons I've seen, I don't remember a dynamic where somebody was outwardly struggling that much, trying to avoid somebody that they really liked. But they didn't hurt the person that they have back home. I thought that was fascinating. He gave really good advice. That's when I was like, that man really does love that girl. But he gave really good advice to her in that hammock. I thought that was fascinating. And I want to know what happened to that. Obviously, we know where she is now, but I want to know what happened immediately after the season when she had to answer her boyfriend.
I don't know.
To me, that was an interesting dynamic to me.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Like one thing on that. This is okay. So I just don't. My biggest problem with this season is I'm just thinking of the producers, like time and time and time again, and they keep leaning into the Nick thing. Like we'll get to it, and maybe it wouldn't come up later, but it's just like Nick wrote Danielle's loved one's letter like later in the season. Like what? What do you have? Like Nick was there at the power of 10 later in the season as Danielle's loved one. They were like forcing this. And then the other thing is, I don't remember Danielle's live-in boyfriend's name, but like they had him on the show.
Camera. I was like, oh my God. You're just playing with people's lives here. Like,
like literal lives.
Danielle should have sued them for this season, honestly. They probably said, we'll bring you back at least 2 more times after this. Like, don't worry, we'll be at you.
I say this like, you know, not like a creepy stan or anything, but respectfully, like they didn't really do anything in the house, right? Like,
she referenced him as her best friend on multiple occasions. So
I feel like they, you know, if Big Brother would have caught a glimpse of that shit would have been everywhere if they did anything. So I feel like at the very least, like she didn't do anything. She was 20 and she had a boyfriend, and like she met another guy from a random state and was kind of like, oh, maybe I like this guy. You know, this is, I think, totally normal. And I felt bad for her. I also felt bad
that her boyfriend would be like, I mean, that has to be hard to watch because it was obvious that she liked him. You know, she shared that she liked him. Yeah, I don't think she crossed any lines from unless, but there was a scene where they showed a kiss or something under the covers, no?
Oh, maybe.
But I don't know if it was like a genuine kiss. Because it was under the cover, so they could have done some funny editing. But there was something. It was at nighttime. They were under the covers. He went over to her bed.
She had that scene where she was talking to her dad, and she was saying, you know, like, you know, whatever you do, you're gonna hurt someone, and like, I think that she felt a lot of guilt, which I think is more than some people in their early 20s on a show about being hot and trapped in a house can have in their lives.
She was crying about it. You know, she felt bad about it.
CBS is messy. They had Janelle break up with her boyfriend on national television. This is the same show that had Christine's boyfriend have a segment about how he's jealous of Cody.
Husband.
Yeah.
Like that was a fucking mess. The only person to get booed out of the house, and no more boos since then.
No, well, listen, they booed Aaron. Correctly, they booed Aaron.
All right. That's fair.
They got divorced, by the way.
They did.
Okay.
I'm not surprised.
So next week, let's talk about Kale. Kale's finally out of the house. She was crawling her way out of this of bad situation week by week, but you know, this was a close week actually. So Danny wins HOH, and as we said, well, before we get to that, so she puts up Kale and Jen, even though she promises Kale that she's not going home because Kale is like, I'll give you this HOH if I have safety. She still nominates her and Jen together, but she says you're a pawn, but she was prepared to backdoor her if she needed to. But you know, Eric was always in the back of her mind. She was still bothered by, you know, Eric possibly not voting the way he said he would. And, you know, she was right because Eric didn't really vote. You know, that's not his fault. But he gets caught up in when Jen wins veto, you know, Jen Comp Queen, it's starting to emerge. Eric is put on the block as a replacement. And it's crazy because you're going to see Danielle and Dick really rally trying to get people to vote Eric. But even though Eric, you know, he can't control his actions, he can't control his votes, he still makes gold out of dirt. He somehow claws his way out of this and is safe of a vote of 4-3, and Kale is eliminated. But how do we feel about this week? How do we feel about Kale? How do we feel about Eric?
I was thinking about Eric's twist and about how, like, yeah, he got like fucked over and everything, but I feel like there's somewhat of a silver lining there because whenever America is telling him who to vote, who to put on the block, whatever, he kind of gets a little bit of an insight from an outside perspective as to like maybe what's just things that are going on that he's not seen. I don't know if he can like put 2 and 2 together, like it could kind of help a little bit in his game to like who to like try and talk with or like what kind of alliances to maybe kind of form. I don't know. That's just like totally kind of out there, but I don't know. I was just trying to think about like a way that maybe it does benefit him in the long run, but I don't know. Just thought.
No, I think that's a good point. And it's interesting because I also feel like I wasn't paying close enough attention to like, okay, who is America? I think America was just being petty. Like this was like this audience at the time was like the Facebook version of basically Big Brother. Like Big Brother Facebook now felt like they were voting for who was going to vote.
It's 2007. Like, I mean, look at the outfits and the hair. Like, if you already know what it is, like,
because they just didn't like certain people, but I can't wrap my head around like what were they thinking at the time. I like that point though. Like if it might give you insight into like, ooh, like this person is trying to like come for you, but it's like Kale was targeted multiple times by America. Like Jen was targeted. I don't think that really told like Eric anything too new, but I do feel like in today's Big Brother, like that vote and that information would probably say a lot because I feel like the fan base is just like smarter.
Yeah, it would be targeting a lot differently today. Yeah, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I just want to talk a little bit about like Eric's like tasks that he's had to do so far.
Yeah.
Because this is around the time where he puts mustard all over Jen's shirt. Ironic, puts it on a Jensen member shirt, which is such a hateful thing to do. But also he does like the I do that for $1, and I love that he justifies it by being like, you know how Amber's always saying a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense? Well, I'm gonna start doing that. And you're like, Amber's saying a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense. You're like, oh my god, like they really just were taking it out on her. But I love all the tasks that he is given while the season is going on. Even though sometimes it's just like it gets weirder towards the end. It gets a little strange.
Yeah. You know, one thing I want to bring up though, like in relation to Kale, but also Amber and Jamaica, is that, and I haven't really put my finger on it, but like Big Brother, I feel like they're trying to make some kind of point about, and you know, maybe this is above our pay grade, but like some kind of point about religion where like they had like some very religious people in the house, and they had the music playing in the background for Jamaica and Amber at certain points, and maybe even for Kale. I don't know, but like I don't know. I just think it's fast. This season is so fascinating because I really feel like more than other seasons, I could be like, oh, the producers like these people. They don't like these people. They're going to show you Jen sobbing uncontrollably. They're going to show you Amber constantly just like not having good reads about anything and also sobbing uncontrollably. But yeah, I feel bad for the people who were cast in a way where Big Brother's like, ooh, we're going to make a lot of money by making fools out of them. And I feel like Kale was kind of in that spot, but Kale did a good job like managing for herself throughout the game, which is admirable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kale.
Matt, are you a child of God?
What was that question?
I just love like.
When did she ask that question?
That was BB 23. That was I
was like, did that happen this season?
Oh my god!
I'm like, yes, Julie, yes, anything that'll get me further in this game. Yeah, preach.
You know, it's crazy. Like the deeper we get into these, I'm like, wait, Julie Chen used to be like a decent host. I'm like, what the hell happened to her, man? Like, she's like not the same anymore, because she was actually really good during this era. Like, she was not trying to put her own like little tidbits in there or sound bites. She's just sticking to the script. The Chen bot is real.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to the Chen bot. So you know,
it started with Julie Chen Moonves. That's what happened.
Yeah, it was the Moonves part.
Yeah.
This is also the HOH comp where the banner plane flies over.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And another like there's a great video on like banner planes that flew over, because in season 1 they used to do it like crazy to try and communicate with the people in the house.
Wow.
And it really stopped after this for the most part. Then it became wall yellers. But I can't really make sense of like why I understand why they're calling out Eric, right? You know, it says Eric and Amber are liars.
Yeah.
What has Amber lied about so far?
I was confused about that too. I was like, I get Eric, but not Amber.
Or just smart shit. Just see random shit. Why not? It's fun.
Yeah.
Mess. All right. So the next week, if you thought Eric was screwed the last week, he's really screwed over this week. So I forgot to say, we're going to start seeing Jessica and Eric have like a showmance developing at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And luckily for Eric, his showmance Jessica wins HOH. She is going to be putting up Dick and Danielle. And you know, all should be good, all should be well until Dick. So this is interesting. Dick is prepared to leave, right? Because he's like, I'm trying to fix my relationship with my daughter. I care about her more than this game. So I'm going to be a tyrant. So everyone hates me and sends me home. He's pissing everyone off, banging pans and pots, coming at Jamaica, coming at Amber, coming at everybody. He wins the veto. He wants to do the admirable thing and look out for his daughter. And he vetoes Danielle off the block. And Dustin's cocky ass is like, put me up next to Dick. I want to be the one to sit next to him since he wants to talk all this trash to me. He gets nominated, and unfortunately, Eric is tasked to save Dick and send Dustin home. So Eric basically rallies the votes to send Dustin out of here, and Dick is saved. It's crazy to think that Dick and Danielle were both on the block.
Yes, like oh my god,
so
this,
screwed
That was
over.
the second time. It's like, oh my goodness.
Has anybody vetoed somebody else off the block when they've won it themselves before?
In Canada, but I don't think in US. Yeah.
No, okay. I was just thinking about that.
There's a couple people who have like won the veto and stayed on the block, but then there's like
Right.
Marcellus who like
Yeah.
you know goes home.
Oh, that's him.
But you know what I love is we didn't mention it very quickly that the veto before this is the veto where Jen gets the bunny suit.
Yes,
And-
yes.
And while Jamaica is praying in a corner,
Yes.
Jamaica gives up 5 HOH competitions.
Oh.
She is never allowed to compete in the HOH.
Yeah.
I wish they would bring this comp back. I don't know how you guys feel. And then Jen decides to go on slot for 30 days and wear a bunny suit. And like Zach dumps a bunch of nasty looking shit on his head. And like Jen gives up half of the prize money. And everybody really reams into her for that, which I don't think is that big of a deal.
Right.
It's not.
Like, everyone's such an asshole. In this next big
Yeah, like who gives a shit? Like it's whatever. It's not even you. It's her. Like let her do it. Whatever.
Yeah, anyways, Jamaica's praying and Jen is walking around in a bunny suit.
That clip comes up all the time on my timeline, and I love it so much.
I could not believe Jamaica gave up 5 weeks.
Crazy.
And it wasn't even to benefit herself. It benefited somebody else. Like I could not believe she did that. It's like she was trying to be noble, trying to follow her religion, which is admirable. But like, you don't play the game. Like she was doing things to the detriment of herself for other people.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing? And I really liked her. I thought she was a sweetheart. And it pissed me off when Dick would go after her and specifically attack her religion. He's like, you think God? I mean, some of it was funny, but he's like, you think God cares about this game? If everything's predetermined, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, Dick. But
yeah,
I hated how he attacked her. And the one time in the backyard when she stood up to him, I was so proud of her. I was like, get him, Jamaica. I really, really liked her. Not the best game player, but I really liked her. I thought she was a sweetheart.
Just on the note of Jamaica, like I really love her toward the start of this season because she's like, look, I'm not used to being around this many white people. Like I'm out of my element. And it's like, yeah, they should have like had anybody like just throwing a few people of color, like even give like one other black person, like just please. But Jamaica was going up like against so much in this house, and I even remember early on, like kind of randomly, there's a scene where Dick, like I can't remember what happened, but basically like Dick was like, "Are you calling me racist? Are you calling me racist? Like what? Like you think I'm racist?" When that's not even what she was saying. So like, shout out to Jamaica for having to go up against the line. Honestly, under that level of stress, like I could imagine not having the presence of mind or just having so much going on that you're like, ooh, I just gave up 5 HOHs. So there had to be a lot going on in her head because clearly that was not a rational decision. But yeah, just I'm amazed that she made it as far as she did, honestly. Yeah. And I'm happy for her. But Jamaica deserved better.
I would have left her in too. Like you can't do nothing. Like she couldn't do anything. 5, and it might not have been a big deal if it was like week 2, but it was like all the way up to the final 5. Was
that's
yeah.
So rough.
When it's so crucial to get some sort of power, and she couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, hell of a punishment. Yeah. Like I don't know if it's ever been any worse than that. At least like in terms of gameplay, like not so much like actual like stupid shit you have to do like a unitard or whatever. That's crazy.
And just to say, like this week definitely puts a stain on Dick as a player. Like yeah, he survives, but it's not with his own doing. Like his objective was to go home. So he was ready to go home. I'm pretty sure he was shocked to stay. If anything. Yeah.
Well, this brings up the question. Do you guys think that production was rigging it for Dick to stay in? Because it's America's vote. We don't get the numbers on that.
I kind of think so. Like, it was like so to the point where it was like, okay, yeah, he's out of here. Like, how does that turn around that 180? Like, and then he ends up winning the fucking season. Like, how does that like? yeah, there's something involved. There has to be.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it doesn't help that Danny's winning like every other competition either.
Literally
it's like,
carried
Yeah.
him on her back.
yeah.
Really.
Well, okay. So, and I'm not sure if the cigarette situation happens this week or the next week, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Because we are going to talk about Miss Jen Johnson. She is eliminated the next week. So Danny wins HOH and veto this week. Fun fact. She's just winning at almost every competition at this point.
I love it. I really do. I
That's
love
impressive.
Yeah. But she's putting up Jamaica and she's putting up Amber. Amber's doing her crying spiel that she does every week. She's a big crybaby.
I will now perform crying. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They should not have cast her. Like, why is she here? Like, she was not in the right place to do.
No.
Like, this is not fair. I feel where's Amber? If you're listening, just take a big hug from me right now, and just like, but please let go.
Wanted to play for her daughter, man. She just wanted to be with her daughter.
Honestly, you know what? She wanted, and I remember she also said something about like her mom having a rough life and wanting to give her money. So Amber has been through it. I feel like if we truly knew, I don't. Yeah, it's sad to think about everything she's probably been through.
Yeah.
Well,
clearly.
Danny does veto Amber, and she's so tired of Jen. Danny and Jen have argued so much this season. They completely hate each other to the point where I think it's time for Jen to leave. Jen does not give a damn. I'm not sure if it was this week or the previous week, but she does put a bunch of bleach on Dick's cigarettes. I'm pretty sure he burns her with a cig at one point, which is kind of wild that they allowed that to happen.
For real, how was he not eliminated from that moment?
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
and see, this is the crazy thing. So Dick does not get penalized for burning her with a cigarette, but Jen does get penalized for not eating slop, so she gets a penalty vote against her.
Stress eating. She was stress eating. Like, very clearly.
Nowadays, people can like eat when they're on slop, and it's fucking fine. Like, that's so ridiculous.
I just think like like. Everyone's like, no, Jen, don't do it. But they're all gonna vote her out. So it's like, yeah, fuck it, do it. Like, I'm just gonna vote you out anyways. Like,
Yes. Yeah. So it's a mess. We do actually see Jessica and Eric also make an alliance with the Donatos, since Eric was forced to keep them. And that's also going on in the background. Dick and Danielle are iffy about Eric still, but they don't got nothing else to really work with at this time. So,
but also smart that Eric did that, because America's Player, like all of his stuff, has been like kind of in their favor. So might as well align with them, so that way it doesn't seem sketchy.
Yeah. So Jessica, she wins the next HOH. She puts up Zach and Amber. Eric, her showmans, wins veto, and then basically the vote is kind of straightforward. Amber is going to go home here because the Donatos / Jessica, Eric are they're in a power position here. There's not a lot of competition. But
this okay. I don't know if you were going to go into this or not, but I'm outraged by this. Are you? I'm outraged.
Go ahead. Take over.
Situation. Eric was not allowed to play the power of veto by the producers.
Yeah.
He's talked about that. Jessica talked about the producers admitted it. Like their excuse was that America didn't have a chance to vote. So Eric, you can't play the POV, but they wanted to play he wanted to take Amber down and then put up Danielle. Like, what? This is where I feel like Eric was robbed the most.
Yeah.
And it's just like infuriating watching it back. They clearly wanted to keep the Donatos story going because that was like their main event storyline.
Right.
But like, what the hell? This is a game. This isn't
Like,
just their playhouse.
You can't tell me that nobody in any meeting they had was like, okay, so what if we do a double eviction and Eric wins the power of veto? How will we handle this?
Right,
And they just
exactly.
said, I don't think that matters. He's never getting picked for them anyways. I mean, he doesn't. He never gets picked for the veto. It's crazy. He like has one of the longest streaks of never getting picked to play veto with like Nicole Anthony.
Dude, that was like me. So this is like come back to me, but whenever I played Big Brother Columbus, I wasn't picked for veto until like I think until I won HOH in like week 5 or 6. Like I wasn't even like in the running. So I was so bored for a while. I didn't do shit. So I can imagine how like he was like itching to finally play, and then like, nope, just get in.
Yeah. He's a good veto host though. Kudos to him. You know,
Yeah.
that's my toxic trait. Is I think I would be a fantastic veto host.
You
Or
probably
like
would be.
talk
You
host.
would, Naomi. You would kill
You
it.
would be.
You would.
And I'd be really annoying about it too. I'd be like, I can do it this week too, guys.
You'd be raising your hand on the couch, please.
Oh yeah, I want a reading class. I want to do the veto comp. You know, all that stuff.
You'd give up your spot in the veto competition just to host.
Yeah, I don't want to get covered in like dirt and stuff. Are you kidding me?
Okay, listen, I co-sign. I co-sign. But this is the second time in like weeks that like Eric wants to take a shot at the Donatos, but production or the twist. I'm not even going to say production. The twist prevents them to do what they want to do. And you know, it pays huge dividends the next week. So Zach wins HOH. This is a double eviction week. They didn't know about it, but this is Zach wins HOH. He's like, look, everyone's giving the Donatos power, so why would I stray away from that? And he makes a deal with the Donatos here. He has a deal with them, and he does nominate Jamaica and Jessica. Danielle wins her 4th POV this season, which is wild. She's winning everything. And they chose to keep the noms the same. You know, they're telling Eric and Jessica to their face, Jessica's safe. We're not going to send her home. You know, Dick's been fighting with Jamaica. Why would they? And they're, you know, they've been thinking at the back of their minds for weeks, like, let's take a shot at them. And, you know, they wanted a weak Eric, and they finally do it. They break up the alliance, and they send Jessica home. This is like, honestly, like the icing on the cake that kind of seals the Donatos, like, path to the end. I remember Jessica really wanted to take a shot at them, and she was confused why Eric kept stopping her as well. That kind of pissed her off a lot. But you know, this was the nail to Eric's coffin. Because you know, it's a double eviction, like I said. Dick wins the next HOH. It's kind of straightforward. He puts up Jamaica and Eric. Zach, since he just made a deal with them, wins veto, doesn't use it, and Eric sent home right afterwards. But the showmance just gets exterminated in one night, and it's so tragic to see. But how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, agreed.
He was mad. He's like, y'all could have told me. He's like, I asked y'all. I could have had 2 days with her. You could have told me. He handled it well, though. I liked him so much.
I feel like the thing that I'm most okay. I think that this is actually a pretty good move for Zach to go with the Donatos. Obviously, Jamaica, Eric, and I think Jessica are in a tight group. Dick and Danielle are fucking hated by the rest of the house.
Right.
So, but also are winning tons of comps. So, now, granted, Danielle put in a lot of work to get Zach on her side in general. And so Zach going with the Donatos is not a bad move on his part. It is a bad move for television in all of our hearts, but it's like a good move for him objectively. And there's like rumors that if he had made the final 3 or made the final 2, he would have won. Which is insane.
Insane.
Gosh, yeah. And I wanted that to be like I wanted Zach not using the POV to be a bad move in the moment as I rewatched it. And I really thought to myself, like, this is the worst move ever. And then I really thought it through, and I was like, look, if Zach uses the POV and Danielle goes up and is sent home, then like sure, Dick's his enemy, which is whatever, but then it's Jamaica, Eric, Zach, and Dick, and like Jamaica and Eric are the 2 really big threats at the end, at least from what, you know, I think what, you know, even the fandom says at the time, or like what, at least they're 2 very likable people. Jamaica especially, like she's just kind of there, and it's like I think it was established that she needed the money. She works at a school as a school counselor. Eric was like so well liked and good, so it made sense. And you know, maybe Zach could have won his way to the end, but you know, that's like a slim possibility. I mean, it would have been great to take out Dick and Danielle a lot earlier, potentially.
Would have been the move.
Yeah, but it wasn't Zach's game. Like, I don't know. I just can't see. It makes me sad to think that Zach would win, but then again, like for BB9, Adam won, which is just like a.
It's not a bad win if
that.
you think about it. I'll be honest with you. It's not that bad of a win. But
For that season, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like that season also. That season, the whole
what
season,
a mess.
lost. It lost.
I also wanted to say, go ahead, Naomi.
I was gonna say, do you guys want to know a fun fact?
What?
That Dolphin Crash is Zach's t-shirt company. I don't know if you guys caught a sick Dolphin Crash shirt in the episode, but McCrae bought that website, bought dolphincrash.com.
Stop.
Why? Never.
Because Ian Terry on Big Brother All-Stars wore a Dolphin Crash t-shirt. After he gets in the house, he's wearing a button down, and then he takes off his shirt to reveal that he's wearing a Dolphin Crash shirt.
Hilarious.
And there's a clip of Danny being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're wearing that." Like,
wow.
Very, very funny. But yeah, then McCrae sold it to be barf bag. But I love that. Dolphincrash.com still exists. Everyone,
That's so funny.
Wow.
I love
Pizza boy to entrepreneur. Okay. Last thing, because we didn't really speak about Jessica on this podcast, but shout out Jessica. She was actually one of the options to come back for season 11 for the Click season. Unfortunately, we did not get her. We got Jesse, Mr. Spectacular instead. But I like Jessica. She was I think she has a lot of potential as a player. They actually brought her back season 9 as well to host a competition with Eric, which was also fun to see. But yeah.
By the way, I just want to shout out, like, when Eric was evicted, I feel like he said the most, like, Eric Stein, brilliant human, but he said the most, like, measured thing you could say when Julie's like, "How are you feeling?" And he said, I wrote it down. He said, "I played the best game I could possibly play under the circumstances. I had obstacles that nobody else had to deal with in this house, Julie. I'm not surprised at what happened. And the people who did it to me would have been gone if decisions were in my hands." So that sums it up to me. You know, it's kind of sad. But again, I feel like Eric's better than this game. And they played in his face all season.
Yeah, I bet you Big Brother 25, we're going to have a Twitch that's like God's player, and it's just going to be like, God this week has told you that you have to keep Dick Donato in the house.
And the host is Jamaica. Like, she'll be the one.
Yeah, Julie could come out and it's like, how do you feel being God's children? Yeah.
Well, look, we're gonna look out for the Pod Friends episode with Eric Stein. That'll be fun to watch.
Let me know when you try. Actually, I know where he's been a little bit over the last week, but other than that, we'll find him. We'll track him down.
Bad. So just kind of speed through the rest because it's the final four. It's pretty straightforward from here. So Jamaica does leave the next week. She tries to make a deal with Zach to split the Donato. So Zach puts up the Donatos. Obviously, it's Final Four. Who the fuck cares? But puts up the Donatos. We're going to see Danny win the 5th veto, which actually ties the single veto in the season record with Janelle. And she
stands.
And she repays the favor. She vetoes Dick off the block, and she goes on the block. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Dick eliminates Jamaica, and she's gone. Shout out Jamaica. She was a fun character this year.
I like her so much.
Yeah. Jamaica's like such a I like a 1 in a million character where like she's so calm, she's so nice, she's so rational, and then you piss her off, and she's like immediately chewing out Dick, and you're like, hell yeah, let's like. Tell him. But that's I really appreciate like the more sensible people on Big Brother who also have a side to them where it's like, don't fucking fuck with me, and that's what I really like about it.
They just seem more real. Like it's fun enough to root for like the nice person, but when they actually have like a more kind of like a different side like that, so where like they can actually like stand up for themselves, like it makes it even better, and you're like, okay, like I really want to root for this person.
And Jamaica this week, didn't he? Dick this way. Yeah, he was pissed. And Zach's speech was a little spicy. I liked it. His speech was spicy this week. I really, really liked it. And Dick pissed him off. So I like this week a lot.
You know what? Oof, I love that. No, I love that. And it's like Dick, like to your point, like Dick was Julie actually calls out Dick because Dick's like, oh, it's a strategy, getting in people's head, calling them out. And it's just, and Julie's like, hey, you went for Zach after the POV, like, but you said that's a strategy. What's that about? Like, I feel like Dick is so full of it in this season. He justifies everything as strategy.
Yeah.
I feel like I know he loves Danielle. Of course, that's his daughter. But like, I just feel like a lot of what comes out of his mouth isn't truthful and genuine, and a lot of it's motivated by winning the money / just kind of being a jerk. So I don't know.
Genuine.
Oh, okay. Okay, Miss Jensa.
I also wanted to say it's crazy that this is the third time they're on the block together and then they both survive again. I don't see that a lot in Big Brother, but the Donatos, despite of how they did it, they are still like one of the better duos in Big Brother history. Like they're top 10. Like the comp prowess is insane, but you gotta give them that.
1000%. Yeah,
I agree with you, because anytime, like, I feel like what one was lacking, the other one kind of made up for. Danny would win at just the right moment to save them, and I thought it was interesting how she was always how people were coming at her all the time about Dick's behavior. She's like, what do you want me to do? I tell him to stop, he doesn't stop. There's not a more interesting duo for me besides those two, just because of the dynamics and them not getting along. He would flat out say, why are you speaking to me like this? Like, all day long I try to talk to you and you're so snarky, you're so nasty towards me. I don't know, it was fascinating.
It's just crazy because so Dick wins 3 HOHs and 1 veto, and then Danny wins 2 HOHs and 4 vetoes, so like that's more than half of the season of just like winning everything. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. Also, can I just say, I forgot to mention my favorite part of this season, which is Jen's goodbye messages. Because Jen always starts off her goodbye messages by being like, hi, it's Jen.
Yeah,
we know, girl, we see you. We're on camera. We know it's you. It gets me every time. Like, the way that she speaks to people in those goodbye messages is so funny.
Love it.
And I
just love that she just has shirts with her name on it and then words.
Yes, that's great.
Like, generific, genderful. Like, I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Like,
the Jen's degree.
Genderful.
You said genderful?
Genderful, like wonderful, but Jen in front of it. But generific is the one that I'm never going to forget. I thought that was hilarious.
The Jen degree really got me the second time around. Like, that's just and I like that they look really homemade too. She's not making them to sell. She's making them for her to just wear on TV.
Yes, which is the greatest. Like, she has all that self-awareness to be like, all right, yep, I'm awesome, and here we are.
I know. I looked her up because I was like, where is Jen? Like, Jen has to be on social media. Hey, Jen. Jen has to be somewhere, because the thing is, like, she had so much potential. Like, she could have had like gender reveal. Like, there's so much she could have done.
Oh
like,
my god!
I found her. She has an Instagram.
I know, and she has like 5,000 followers, which is I mean, I'm sure she seems like she's living a happy life.
Wait, what's her username? Hold up.
Oh no! Yeah, I don't.
I can get it for you.
It's probably like Jensa member,
she's a realtor or something.
It is literally something like that. But I just want to put out, while we're talking about Jen, that I went on her like Big Brother wiki fandom page, and apparently like Mike Boogie, that he reported that he helped train Jen for Big Brother, which I don't know how that happened. But
I'm not shocked. Boogie went in the house with Chilltown homemade shirts. So, Jen comes in with Jen homemade shirts. Like, you got to brand yourself, right? Like they know what they're doing.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay.
Branding herself before
her
that was
Instagram is Genius Life, but with a Jen. Like JENIUS Life. That's fucking incredible.
So just to get towards the end, because I do know Naomi got to record soon. So, okay. Well, it is final 3. It's Zach and Dick and Danielle. It's pretty straightforward. Now, I will say, I really wish they brought this competition back. The one when they're standing, it's like pressure cooker. You're just holding a rope, and last one standing wins. And it's raining. Such an intense TV.
Yeah,
intense TV.
It went for almost 8 hours.
Yeah.
Danielle was like
crazy.
shaking. I was like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
I give it to Dick because he really, really, really fought. In that moment where you could just tell he couldn't keep going. And Danielle's like, it's okay. You can get down. It's okay. It was so sweet. That's the only redeeming thing. I swear I keep saying that, but it was so sweet between the two of them that moment when she was like, it's okay. You can come down. It'll be okay. You did your best. Like, I was like, aw.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a great team. They gave moments. You know, that's one thing that the Denals do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But straightforward. Dick wins. Then it's him versus Danielle in the end. And look, the vote count is 5-2. The two people voting Danielle to win is Jamaica and Jen. It really just comes down to who you respect more, because let's be honest, these two are both very disliked individuals. But I will say the thing that does hurt Danny in the end is that Danny kind of, we've seen this all 3 seasons. Danny sticks with people who she likes. If she doesn't like you, she's not going to talk to you. Dick, despite that, very early on spoke to like a majority of the house and try to play friendly at some point. He was an asshole, but he spoke to more people than Danny did. And Danny did come off bratty at points, even though Dick came off very rude. So at the end of the day, people also felt like Dick was like the front runner and the leader in the duo, and all in all, Dick wins. Where
I blame Eric.
Okay, let's be honest.
I blame him because I feel like he had a lot of influence and people respect it. I mean, he's doing America's work. I was like, oh, when I saw that's the way he was going. But I thought he was very influential. He made a lot of good points. He was like, tell me where it says you have to be nice to everybody. Tell me where it says that. I was like, oh, he was making great points. I just wish it had been for the other person, because I cannot believe some of those people voted for Dick after the way I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of game you played. If you can't have basic respect for me, then we're done.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, I very much am like, if I'm going to vote for a winner, like, yes, I'm going to vote for, to a degree, the best player just in general. But you're right. If somebody is like that awful to me, like, I don't think I would vote for that. I don't know. I don't think I would. I just couldn't allow myself to do that. But like, it just depends on like the degree of, the stuff that happened. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Can we just talk about one thing, which is the evil Dick cheating stuff?
What?
Okay, so there's 2 instances of evil Dick cheating on this season.
No.
One is he got his son in the HOH letters to essentially write in code.
I remember that. Yeah.
And that's why they rewrite all of the HOH letters now, is because they were using it to communicate.
What?
Yeah.
What was the code? Don't
Like,
leave us hanging.
I don't know what the code was. I'm sure there's videos about it, but basically, like, if you're talking about, oh, grandma's doing good, it means like you should trust the people you're trusting with, or something like that, where it like there was a code written into the letters, right? And it indicated whether he should be trusting the people he's working with or not. And the other thing was that in the final 2, in this final HOH comp, Dick apparently could see what Zach was answering because of all the mirrors around the house. And so he could sort of see the reflection of like what Zach was answering. So he gets the first question right. And then he just copies what Zach is doing for the rest of the competition. And he always answers after Zach answers, if you look at it.
Oh my God.
It's likely that what he's doing is he knows that he's up by 1 point. So as long as they just get the rest the same, that he'll win. And yeah, it's tough because like in some ways I think it's really funny to outsmart the producers. Like it's very funny. If your fucking TV show isn't like locked down and you can weasel your way out of doing something, go ahead. But also at the same time you're like, oh god damn it, of course it's evil Dick. Like it's even worse than him. Like,
Yeah.
Wait, so who voted for Danielle to win?
It was Jamaica and it was Jen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm just it makes me so angry. It makes me angry. I don't fire up again. Cause like the thing, Dick, bro. Like what they should take away his money with inflation in 2023. Like get that money back.
Oh my god.
Get it back. It's probably like worth $750,000 by this point. So just take that from him. I don't know. I don't know where Dick is. I don't know if he has it, but they should start taking payments back because that's not right.
Yeah.
I still don't get it. I want to hear. I'll have to read as to why the people voted the way they did. Because
yeah, to me, Amber's one of the biggest shocks. I can't believe Amber didn't vote.
Yes, her. He attacked her like as a mother so many times.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Janelle, though, you nailed it too. Like Eric was like the puppeteer of this season, and even the puppeteer of that final vote, apparently, among the jury, because he had to push for Dick to win. And Eric was so well liked, like that has influence. Like that's definitely going to influence Jessica, but also anyone who respects him. So it's just sad.
You gotta remember,
it's
Eric.
sad.
I don't know if Eric had an influence the jury or not, but I mean, Eric didn't even vote for the person to win. Yeah,
they were like, here, like the vote for, because it was always like, here's who you vote for, but then also apparently he had to convince everyone else to do it, which like
and he said when he read that he had to work to convince for Dick, he was like, good choice, America. I'm like, huh? I really want to know, like, what did she do so bad that compares to him? Right. She wasn't an idiot. Like, I didn't find her to be an idiot. I saw her comfort people. Like, when Jamaica lost 2 close allies back to back, she would comfort them. I saw her being human and extending kindness to people. Yeah. And when Jen would go after her, like, I just do not understand. I truly don't, unless they just felt that Dick carried her through. But that's not even true because she won on her own accord many, many, many times. Yeah. That saved the both of them. So they were, I don't get it.
The only thing I'll just say with this is like Dick was very honest with his answer, or, with his, like there was the point in the jury where they asked like, Dick, say something nice about each person. He's like, nope. I'm going to drag each of you. So maybe they appreciated that. Maybe they appreciate the honesty. Whereas Danielle was like more of the diplomat. So it's hard to know, like with any jury of any game, they're all voting based on their own criteria. And so maybe they just appreciated the honesty, but it wouldn't have been me.
It wouldn't have been me either. Because when he was giving, like when he was saying nice things about people or lack thereof, I messaged Isaiah again. I was like, I can't believe he won after these speeches. Like, are you kidding me? It just blows my mind. I just do not get how he has fans. I do not see what's redeemable, but there are plenty of them still to this day. I don't get it.
There you go. But, that is our review for the season. So quickly, just to do our closing question. So I asked this at the end of every podcast, but if you guys had to rank this season, top tier, middle tier, or lower tier, obviously that's, nothing specific, but where would you guys put this season? Big Brother 8. Where starting with Janelle, where would you put it?
I'm sad to say the middle. I mean, I really liked it, even though he pissed me off a lot. I did find the season entertaining. Like there were a lot of things that were redeeming for me as far as the seasons, the fights, the dynamic between everybody, Dick's antics and the fallout from his antics. It was all entertaining. I can't lie. So I'll slap it in the middle.
How about you, Matt?
I'm just thinking about it. I really wanted to rank it middle tier, but when I think about all the other seasons, like, yes, there are issues I have with it, and I did get fired up in retrospect watching it back, but I mean, we have the mess, we have the entertainment, we have the cringe, we have the strategy from Eric, and then Dick and Danielle, as force-fed as it was by producers, it did something. So I think I would put it in the top tier. I'd put it in the top tier. Not all the way at the top, but it's at the bottom of the top tier.
How about you, Sab?
Yeah, I agree. I would actually put like between like top and mid if there's like a section there. Yeah. Because I think Matt's right. Like it's entertaining. You got like literally every piece of like main like category drama that Big Brother offers, like duo, a twist, actually technically two twists of the season that are a major part of the game, including the winner and one of the best players to play. And then just the general ridiculousness that was going on through the entire season was great too. So for entertaining purposes for sure, and there's way worse seasons. So
yeah.
All right, how about you, Naomi?
I think it's in the category that I think a lot of seasons fall under, which is fuck you, Allison Grodner. And I think it's because like if Eric Eric has talked about how he thinks he maybe wouldn't have done very good on his own if he wasn't under America's influence, but at the same time, like there's so many moments where you're like, you didn't think about this, fuck you. And that's what I have to say is like I really just can't stand a lot of the ways that this game transpired, but I can also say that I do think Danny Donato is a really interesting character. I do think that this cast overall is very weird, and I like it, so it's not the worst thing I've ever watched. I enjoyed it. I've seen that Big Brother in 5 hours video like twice now, so I'm not sick of it yet.
All right. And then for me, it's like, I watch Big Brother for the strategy, right? But this is one of the rare cases where I'm just like, I don't care. Like, it's so messy. It's very old school. Like, I love watching people fight personally. It makes my day when it's not like nasty. And, I can put it in my top tier. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? There's 24 seasons, so there will be 8 in the top. So, like, what? 2 of Dan's seasons, 2 of Will's seasons, 6, 17. I could fit it in there. So yeah, I'm gonna put it towards the bottom of top tier. Why not? But yeah, that's our review for Big Brother 8, and this was a fun one. I'm very glad that we got to talk about this. But real quick, because I saw someone say in the chat, shout out Valencia, you be supporting all the podcasts. So shout
Happy
out
birthday!
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
But for those who haven't already, if you enjoy what you listen to, please check out our social media pages for Silent Podcast. You can check out our Twitch, our YouTube, our Twitter account, and please follow, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. If you're listening on an audio platform, please give it 5 stars, but only 5 stars. If you don't like it, just save it until you hear something that you do like that's 5 stars. We don't need that 4 messing up our ratio. But real quick, I'll just do our closes. So Janelle, once again, thank you for coming on to talk to us. Where can people find you and what you got going on?
I'm Janelle Michaud on every platform there is. Easy to find.
Okay.
There we go.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me at Matt Scott GW on all platforms. And I have to plug some Rob Has a Podcast stuff. Wrestling Rehab Up. If you're a wrestling fan or want to be one, you can find that at robhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed. And then Pod Friends, interviewing people, including Isaiah last season. Subscribe at robhasawebsite.com/podfriendsfeed. I somehow remember
that is so many letters.
Yeah, I don't even know what just came out of my mouth. But that's it. You can find me there.
All right. How about you, Sabrina?
You can find me at Sabrizi2492 on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm the host of the Truth Booth podcast, which is about the new season of Are You the One? Isaiah is my co-host. And we are dropping the next episode tomorrow, I think. So yeah. Check it out.
A Valentine's Day episode about a lot of cheating. About cheating.
Oh my goodness.
How dare you?
So cute.
Naomi, how about you?
Well, after this, I am podcasting about Survivor New York, Bannerman Island.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I give me on that podcast.
We're doing our exit interview with the first member of our jury. But if you're not watching, that's at youtube.com/Survivor New York. That's the show that I produce with my co-host Chris. It's so much fun. A lot of, Julia, silent podcaster, is on that season. It's a lot of fun. I hope you'll watch. But also, I'm editing it right now, but Joshua and I are bringing back our Genius podcast fighting, or recapping all seasons of the Genius, spoiler free for you. So stay tuned for that and subscribe to the audio feed because it'll go there.
All right. And then lastly, you can find me at 8 Ball Bangers on all platforms. Like Sabrina said, we're going to talk about a lot of cheating tomorrow on the Truth Booth podcast. So check that out. And then also, like I said, every Sunday or Monday, you can come back here for the review series. We don't have that many episodes left, but it's going to take us to Big Brother Canada, which I'm very happy for. We got that coming out soon. So keep a lookout for that. I have a fun panel next week. So make sure you're here for the Big Brother All-Stars conversation. Yeah.
You're not a fun panel, Isaiah? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
I said weeks ago the rest of the panels are fun. This is included. Okay. Look at the ending for last week if you want to see what I said. You got the intro last week, okay? But until next week, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.